Hello and welcome. I'm really pleased today at this Windrush dialogue. We have Jeanette Barrett, founder, writer, producer of Merlina Pearl, Windrush Journey, the musical. Jeanette, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Rudy. Yeah, long time.
Long time, long time. And I'm really pleased that you've been able to put together this monumental production.
Oh, I am too.
Very well done.
Thank you.
It demonstrates the creative progression around the Windrush story. So that story continues across the generations. So very well done indeed.
Thank you.
So let's get started. Merlina, how did you manage to gather her true account?
Whoa, Rudy, it wasn't easy. Listeners, viewers, you must have come across trying to ask an elder something from their past, and it would be a complete shutdown. So this was more or less the same. But Merlina, this is not her real name, but it's close. Merlina needed care. She needed my specialist care. So I was asked by the family. So this is how it goes. I come in to the lounge where she's sitting, and she gives me a side glance. And I say, good afternoon, Mrs. McKenzie. Good afternoon. So them send another one then. And I thought, okay, I know how this is going to go. So the daughter now goes into the kitchen and she makes her a nice hot chocolate tea for her. And she asked if I wanted a cup of tea. I said, I'll just have a mint tea if you got any. And Merlina looks up and said, mint tea? We're wrong with ordinary tea. So I thought, okay, she wants to be difficult. She wants to try me, but I'm not going to rise to that. She's my elder and I'm going to be respectable of that. So we sit down and I said, is there anything you want to know about me before we begin this? Because I'm literally the last resort here. Me don't need nobody to look after me. Me don't know why one of me picking them can't stay in here and look after me. After all the years me take to look after them and look now, they must send you. So it kind of went on like that. So I gave her my background. And cutting a long story short, I told her that my father was born in 1909. Oh, Papa Jesus. Yes. She looked at me and said, oh, you mean your grandfather? I said, no, my father was born in 1909 before the Titanic.
Yeah.
And she says, your father born in 1909 and my father born in 1906. How that could go? I'm me older than you. And I said, well, realistically, we are of the same generation in one sense. So she sit up now and she take notice, Rudy. And I thought, I'm in here, you know?
Connection.
Right? The respect kind of level off, you know? And I got excited. Yeah. And then I spoke about my father being torpedoed 3 times while he was in the American Naval Forces. American people, them baddy. And I says, well, he didn't go through a very good time. The racism in America was very harsh, not like in England. You can't tell me about that, yes, for you. And, you know, it was that back and forward going. And she says, well, him get torpedoed on ship, but I want to tell you about the ship I was on. You ever hear about the Windrush? And I says, you wasn't on the Windrush, was you? Yes. The whole family said me on there on my own. And it went on from there. And she started to speak. But she was speaking, she got so much into it, I had to stop her. And the daughter came with the tea and everything. And then she kind of stopped when the daughter came in. As if she didn't want to reveal anything. She, left the woman here, me all right, now go and do what you want to do, because you never want to be in here anyway. That's why you say no. So I thought, okay, she doesn't want her to hear, so I'm just going to shut my mouth. And she drank a little bit of the tea, and she waited till she heard the door shut. And then she started. And I asked her if I could write any of this down, because it's really interesting. I says, it means a lot to me, because I haven't got my father and my mother anymore. And my mother died in 1985 and my father in 1986. And I literally grew up myself with, all of us kind of grew up ourselves. We missed out on a lot of the stories. We heard some, but I was very interested in it. And I told her that when my father was established, he had a big house. And when some of the Windrush people came over in the later years, he rented the rooms upstairs to them. And she was very intrigued by that. So she went on about her rooms, knocking doors, all the rest of it, but all of her time on the ship. And I just wrote down bits and bobs. But then I put the phone on and I recorded some of it so that I can get it clear, crystal clear from her. And when I played it back to her and everything, but Miss Ona, right? You know, and she was really excited. She just talked about her times when it was round the radio, listened to the radio. She said she sounded like a film star, you know, and the rest is history. Got all the story I needed, but there were some really deep parts that when it came to doing the production, I kind of had to turn it into songs to help it to be more digestible.
Of course.
So that's how it started.
Excellent, excellent. So you've kind of alluded. So in terms of what personal and emotional burdens did Merlina carry as she boarded the HMT Windrush?
Well, she had just about completed her basic midwifery training. So they had the call. The call went out with politicians going around the Caribbean for the call for the NHS. So the word went around. There was work people learning about what work they could get, what work was promised to them. But out of the whole family, her and her 3 other siblings, 2 younger, 1 older, she was the only one that had already trained in that area. So they said, okay, we'll gather the money all together and make sure Merlina get to go on the ship and go, because her father died in the war in 1943. So without him going back, because obviously the call for ex-servicemen, he died. So it lay on her shoulders now to take the brunt for the whole family and get on that ship and do what she could.
So how did the relationships formed with fellow female passengers shape Merlina's resilience and outlook?
Well, she, straight away, traveling on her own, young woman, 21, without her sisters, you know, so straight away, she was always around them all the time. So she wanted to form some kind of relationship with people as soon as possible. Everybody, all the women were scared anyhow. And Merlina couldn't swim. So that is just the fear of the big iron boat for a start was one thing. That was the anxiety. But also the fact that she was on her own without the normal camaraderie of sisterhood around her. So she formed some good friendships on the ship. One particular woman, Missionary Clara, favoured her mother, you know, in the mannerisms. So through Missionary Clara, she heard her mother's voice weaving through. It kind of kept her on an even keel. And there was another woman called Sheila that was like her sister, her younger sister, that they always used to do things together. So yes, it was good. It helped them all really keep themselves together and share what they could, because things didn't stretch.
Of course.
Yeah.
So what does the presence of Alvina suggest about internal community tensions and self-perception during the Windrush journey?
Oh, Alvina now. Alvina would be one of those country women that would be a little bit independent, shall I say? Shall I use that word? Wasn't one of, there was always one in the village or somewhere around that never really went to church, and you will see her out and about at times she shouldn't be. But it wasn't Alvina's fault, Merlina found out in the end, because Alvina lost both her parents during the wartime, and she was the eldest one. So she kind of like never had no guidance or anything left. So she went there basically to make her own way in the world. And she didn't have a choice. Mm-hmm.
In what ways did Merlina's experiences of discrimination aboard the Windrush prepare her for the challenges that she would face in England?
Well, back then, the promises that the politicians came over and were speaking to them about, the promise of work and good wages and good education for children and all of these things, all of these pie in the sky promises that was there.
Yeah.
When she went on board, there was all of this so with ex-service people talking about how they were treated. So all of this was kind of like going around. And Merlina had a good gut sense to pick up vibes that things weren't going to be as she expected them to be. And she was frightened because she had the whole of the family on her shoulders. She needed to make sure it worked. But when she realized that things was really segregated and not as promised, was she met up with this Jewish woman, because there was actually 66 Jewish females and girls on board as well. And they were told to keep away from the darkies or the colored people. So that experience, along with their experiences, if they can do it to them people, all the more so they're going to do it to them. So she kind of like had her loins girded. Yeah. And she kind of protected herself and prepared her mindset to not expect anything, because they literally made her feel like nothing, especially when her papers were checked. And she thought, yes, I'm going to go straight into this midwifery and everything's going to be okay. And then they literally said that the papers weren't good enough. So that means all the studying that she did, she felt worthless, like nothing, and needed to start again, they told her.
How did the gap between expectation and reality in England impact Merlina's identity, agency, and long-term determination?
Yeah, I think when they all got there, the stories that they was hearing on the ship with the ex-servicemen going back, etc., they just thought, okay, it's the war, maybe things is untidy, bits and bobs. But when the reality hit, it's like seeing a holiday brochure page, and then you get somewhere and all on there, what this don't look like. So it was that kind of thing. And of course, they docked not where they're supposed to. It was a detour. They docked at Tilbury, but they're supposed to have docked somewhere else. So it was a detour, and it was like a factory setting. So it wasn't anything like they expected, because all they got was like glossy images of Buckingham Palace, and they had that expectation of streets being paved with gold, but what they stepped into was far from that. So that gut feeling plus the visual amplified the fact that, yes, I'm in trouble. That's how she felt. And the segregation, the looks, the treatment of the food that they was given in comparison with what they were served in comparison with the other passengers, there was a definite difference. So it was just visual. Absolutely. And they didn't like it. She or none of the rest of them liked that at all.
Yeah. So just before we go then, and you're going to tell us where people can see the production, is there something that you'd like to read to us?
Oh, yes. I just want to read a quote. This is Merlina's actual quote. She kind of got a bit biblical. She said, "We were like a newborn, birthed into the..." I'm going to speak like she did. Right. "We were like a newborn, birthed into the unknown and placed into our mother's lap. But our mother didn't want us. We grew like orphans, wandering around in the wilderness looking for shelter, then work, so we could buy food. But even to do that, we were rejected and forsaken. We couldn't rely only on each other, sharing room, even bed. It was a great deal to carry in our head. Only with pride blocked the shame. We rather suffer together, and even when it was a heavy burden, some did everything in them power to bring them children over to England. To me, all we were come off of that the ship called Windrush, are the real children of the Windrush, because we had to learn and grow to integrate here in the midst of being told and shown to segregate when reading signs on stores and doors of evil racial hate.
That's such a powerful story in itself.
Yeah,
it really is, and I hope someday we'll see it somewhere, because it just says it all.
Yeah,
it really does, So tell us, when and where can people get tickets?
Right. My events management team is called Two Chic Events Management, and they're from Leeds. The tour is going to kick off in Leeds on May the 10th. And that's 2 shows in May the 10th. I will give you the link after the show. 2 shows on the 10th. And then we're going to, on the 18th, still in Leeds. Then we're moving to Manchester on the bank holiday for the 26th. Then we're coming a little bit further down. We're coming to Birmingham on the 7th. And that would be 7th of June at the MAC, Midlands Arts Centre, where we've done it before. And then we'll be going on to Milton Keynes on the 10th, and then traveling further south. And then we're going to go back up again, right up into Scotland. So brilliant. It's up and down the country, and we're spreading it out. We're just making some final details with the theatre companies on ticket establishments and transport. But the first few shows, Leeds, Manchester, Milton Keynes, Birmingham, are all cooking up nicely.
Okay, and finally, before we go, is there a contact number, website where people can?
Well, with my page on Insta, you can see all of the different ones flagging up on Insta on my page, and it's Janetti Machete on Insta.
Interesting.
Yeah, just for Janetti Machete. There's only one Janetti Machete, and you'll find me up on Insta, and of course, as I am, Janetti Barrett 71 on Facebook. You can see me as well.
Excellent, and once again, very well done.
Thank you.
And you take care until the next time.
Thank you, Rudy. Oh, thank you for having me as well. And I love the Windrush anchor. That's just strong there, because Merlina Pearl is definitely an anchor of the Windrush. Yeah. And I'm so honored to have been able to have her entrusted in me with her story.
Yeah,
as it was like pulling teeth.
And she passed the baton to you, because
it's
about passing the baton.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say that I wasn't frightened with it. Of course. You know, to let the story come out, especially in places what are deep, that I had to turn into songs, so it's digestible. Because the family have come to the first couple of shows before, and you know that I know they was right there in the audience, so my heart just you know, the responsibility, because they didn't. I was told it and they weren't.
Yeah, no.
So I had to show and tell firsthand for them to see in life, you know. And so that was really daunting.
And that's
because they were hearing their mother, grandmother through me.
Yeah,
through me.
And
you know, wow.
And you know, they say creativity solves most problems.
Yeah.
So to be able to use creativity and culture,
it's
got to be the best way in terms of communication.
And music helps.
Absolutely, because we're always saying the means of communication may be different, but the needs are the same.
Yes, indeed.
Really important. So congratulations once again.
Thank you.
See you soon.
And thank you for inviting me.
That's okay.
Okay. Bless.
Right.